Yeah, most sports talking heads make predictions, then hope you forget about how wrong they were. But not Mackie and Judd.
Write this down.
This is the big leagues, where we own our terrible predictions.
Write that down.
And keep track of each other's batting averages. It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down?
With Mackie and Judd.
Gentlemen, can I, off the top here, propose a Write That Down schedule and rules clarification?
Whoa.
To make our lives easier here.
Okay. Yeah.
And part of this is my fault for maybe not clarifying this years ago, but we've always said, since we started really keeping track of historical stats back in like 2018, although I found when I was digging for some like holiday content for us, like best of stuff, I found some Write That Down stuff from 2015. So we've definitely been doing this segment for
Yes.
like
When
8 years or something.
Yeah, when I filled in for you guys like in 2016, you were still doing it.
Well, yeah, because Karl Anthony Towns will be the man. That prediction goes way back, because that's when he was just got here.
Yes, it was. And it still hasn't come true, by the way.
In fact, you know what? Buzz yourself. You were wrong. You were wrong. In fact, I'd like to go back and say you were now wrong. Deduct a point, or whatever.
So here's my and by the way, this is welcome in. This is Write That Down. It's the most innovative high wire act in all of sports media. 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of batting averages and home runs. And listeners, if you want to participate like Corey is about to, you can send us a message through the SKOR North app and we'll get you in the mix for sometime here in early 2023. So we have always considered football predictions, football season predictions. So for the 2022 Write That Down season, it includes football season predictions. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, like if it was calendar year, you'd make a prediction about the 2022 season back in March, and then it wouldn't come off the board maybe until like a year and a half later, if that makes sense, because the calendar, right?
Yes.
But so then what we did was, okay, football predictions will carry over into early February because the season ends in early February. But all other predictions were sort of along a calendar. I submit, and we should have done this years ago, that the entire Write That Down season calendar just runs Super Bowl to Super Bowl, and any prediction made across any sport that falls into that window counts for that season. So like in previous years, today on January 4th, if you would have made a prediction about the Wild, which I'm sure Declan will, it would count for the 2023 season going forward, while we still counted the 2022 football stuff. Does that make sense?
Yep. So
what I'm proposing is if you make any prediction at all whatsoever between now and the Super Bowl across anything, it all counts for 2022, and then we start clean after the Super Bowl.
Okay, so you're basically going to take the WTD calendar and make it like a company does a fiscal year, which is like July to July. That's our year. Yep. So you're saying our year is Super Bowl. So I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
So the only question I would have.
Here we go. He's trying to protect his batting average. Here it comes.
In the historical standings. In the historical, what you're saying now is the 2022 season has an extra 2 month, extra 2 month edition right now, right? Or is it over?
No. I'm saying so. No matter what, football predictions would still run through the Super Bowl period. Okay. I'm saying non-football predictions also count for 2022 if you want to make them going forward here.
Got it. Okay.
And anything that would come off the board. So maybe you might have made a prediction in December that you thought was going to come off the board in January. If it comes off the board in January, it now still counts for 2022. But you only you barely have any, like, you make your predictions week to week for the most part.
It's going to impact me the most.
Yes.
Yeah, because Judd spreads his predictions out into the future.
So you're saying once the Super Bowl hits, that ends the calendar year for Write That Down.
Correct.
On both shows. On both shows.
On both shows. Yep.
Yes. It's always been that way for the for Purple, Purple Daily Write That Down. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So that means if you make a wild prediction,
it actually clarifies.
The month of January,
it counts.
It counts for the 2022 Write That Down season.
Correct.
Which ends on the Super Bowl.
Well, I just thought of something else though. What about if
So sorry, Corey, who's just waiting to be on the show.
You know what? This has turned into a family fight now every week, and I look forward to it.
It honestly.
Oh, God. All right, let's get to the accountability session here. We'll start with Judd. And by the way, Declan is dominating the batting average race. We have some drama in the home run race, but there's still time. There's more time than you thought. You can make it. You can catch up here, Judd. All right. You said Chris Myers will call at least one more Vikings game this season on Fox. Well, there's no more time for that. Kenny Albert will call the Vikings-Bears game.
I love Kenny, but it's getting ridiculous.
It's Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma here. Vikings and Bears
NFC
coming
North.
up next on Fox.
I like Kenny. I think he's
love
doing
Kenny too.
Wild Tampa tonight on TNT.
Yeah. He did the Winter Classic on Monday. I mean, he's all over.
He's incredible,
He's everywhere,
man. Knicks games.
It's a Lions game, so I'm probably calling it Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma. If it's a noon Lions game, inject it into my veins.
That guy's tax returns must be unbelievable, though.
Oh, God.
TNT,
a lot of
Fox,
W2s.
MSG.
W2s, 1040s. Yeah,
probably worth it for old Cal.
Oh, that I guess he's $3 million, you think?
I don't even know where to begin with when you have that many jobs. I have no
TV
idea.
I really don't know. Good tax.
Jobs that pay, too. Well.
He does well. I'm sure he does well. All right. Bad week for old Macadac here. I said KJ Osborne. I sensed it that KJ Osborne would have another 100-yard game against the Packers. He did have a good game. He had 7 catches for some yards and a touchdown, but he didn't have the 100. So, the Gopher football team will beat Syracuse by 20 or more points. And Naz Reid, I tried to one-up Declan here, but he didn't get to 20 points per game in the last 2 weeks, unfortunately. Listeners had a nice one here.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Nate said, let's start with the bad here. JJ will have at least 2 receiving touchdowns against the Pack. Vikings will finish 14-3. This is from Michael, and will be the first seed in the NFC.
Oh.
Justin predicted that Jefferson, Dalvin, Thielen will have at least 10 or more touchdowns in 2022. I think that's not happening. So. And then the good news, Kincaid said Mo Ibrahim will be the Big Ten rushing leader. Here we go. Brandon said Mackey will not put another nail through his septic pipe in 2022. He said by the end of the year. This is where we need. So this, I took it to mean calendar year. Did he mean write that down year?
No, he meant calendar year.
Calendar year? Okay.
Yeah.
You had done it twice. The odds of you being
goalpost for the schedule.
I did it once.
Okay.
The first flood, which resulted in a complete redo of the basement in the house that we rent, that was because the septic alarm was not working. Not our fault. Which means what's supposed to happen is when the septic water reaches a certain level, an alarm is supposed to trigger. When that alarm doesn't go off, it means septic water spills into your home. In case you're wondering how our February went last year.
Yuck.
A lot of Nates here making predictions on the show. This is a different Nate with a home run. I think this is a home run. He said by the end of the college football season, Mo will be a top 5, Power 5 running back in rushing yards.
Yeah.
He was. And will be the all-time Gophers rushing leader. And he did pass Daryl Thompson, right?
Daryl Thompson.
Yes.
For number 1.
Before he sat out the second half of the Pinstripe Bowl. Very upset about that.
Coward.
Just kidding. Good for
and then again, it's the Nate Fest here. There's a lot of mystery Mackey and Judd predictions on the board that we need to go back and figure out for this year. But one of them apparently was check with Declan on today's episode. Mackey Judd check-in.
So he said the Gophers will win the Pinstripe Bowl. That is correct. He said they'll cover the 5-point spread, I believe. Was that correct? I didn't watch a second of the Pinstripe Bowl.
Let's look it up. Let's see.
Yes, I believe
they did, right?
Yes.
They won by more. They won by 6 or more, didn't they?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that, Judd, or do you know?
No, I watched it.
You watched it.
I don't recall the score,
but I didn't watch it.
But they did win. Terrible field. Awful field.
Third item of the parlay.
Yep.
He said Mackey and Judd will give PJ Fleck credit. I don't believe either of you.
You even talk Gophers.
gave PJ credit, not because you did not give him credit. We just never brought it up. So therefore, unfortunately, Nate, I don't think this prediction hits because you missed that third leg of the parlay.
Here,
my friend.
in fact, well, he said buy the show here, so there is still time for us to give PJ Fleck credit for winning the Pinstripe Bowl against Syracuse. Jeb, would you like to do that?
No, in fact, I'd like to move on.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I've thought about the Pinstripe Bowl. So
I thought about it a lot because the turf was
talk about
awful.
it with Pat because we were off. If we would have talked about it with Pat last week, you might have stumbled your way into giving him some credit. Backhandedly, too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, how about PJ win another bowl game, guys?
I can't get behind Pinstripe Bowl champions on the mantle.
I agree.
I'm sorry, and it's great. And I think, well, I got to be careful. I don't want to give him credit here. I'm going to wait till tomorrow to say what I'm. Nate, you're wrong.
Sorry,
we love you.
Oh,
but that's incorrect. All right, Declan, you're lucky you have a big lead in the batting title race here because you had a bloodbath this week. You said the Wild would post a shutout sometime in the last week. This one's karma here. You saw back-to-back 27, 28-point games from Naz Reid and said, I think he's going to average 15 points per game in the month of December. He wound up with 14 points per game in the month of December.
Yeah. I didn't think it was a lock at all. He scored 22 points. Look, he had clunkers after that, and that's why I said I don't think this is a bunt, nor is it a home run. Like, let's see if Naz Reid can continue it, and then I got mocked for that. And look, he doesn't even do it. Listen, there's no write that down karma, God. You guys jumping the gun at me for a prediction that had a 50% chance of happening.
I'm not saying a word. I don't know how I got dragged into this. Phil mocked you. I thought
Declan was taking liberties with numbers here, and it turns out that he was course corrected by the write that down gods.
I'm glad I got this wrong.
Just like you're glad the Vikings
Honestly,
lost.
I'm glad I got it wrong.
Because I tried to bully him.
PAT in Buffalo.
No, I'm glad.
Okay, you said the Wolves would win at least 6 of their 10 games, like the back half of December. That did not happen.
No, it did not.
Sasha Banks will sign with AEW at some point in 2022. She signed with New Japan.
Yeah, I can't tell if that's like a legit contract or if she's just doing like an appearance at one of their pay-per-views. I know she's going there.
It was their big. I think it happened already overnight.
Yeah,
it was like their big annual their WrestleMania. You said John Cena will win a major world title by the end of the year.
Should have said make an appearance.
And
that bald
Anthony
spot's got to go.
Oh God, yeah. What is?
John? It was
he's wearing jorts with a bald
It was the
spot.
first thing. I did nothing on Friday night but watch SmackDown. Even texted Phil like, "You watching SmackDown right now? This is how my Friday night's going." And the first thing I notice after he runs down to the ramp, he does his stupid Cena thing. And I'm like, oh my God, John, that bald spot. And then over the next 48 hours, it was just clown memes of people like, John, it's time to shave the head, buddy. Dude. He's got like a bird's nest bald. Right it's bad. It's so bad. Buddy, just shave the head. I don't know what it's the dad
bad.
look. Yeah, I don't know why he did it.
He's still wearing the same jorts he wore 20 years ago, too. It's just, that's why I've never been able to get behind John Cena.
I'm fine with the jorts.
No, you've never liked him.
It's weird.
Dwayne Johnson's your guy.
He's one of my guys for sure. Yep. Stone Cold, by the way, is looking jacked. I think he's ready to come back again. Okay, then you said Anthony Edwards and Justin Jefferson will recreate the Moss KG photo, but you put an end date of 2022 on it here. So
I really wanted that one to happen. That's too bad.
So Declan's still hitting 401, but this is the lowest his average has been since like probably January of last year.
And the season's not done yet, as we just found out.
Yeah, but he's come down like 70 points in batting average, and you have failed to take advantage here. So have I and the listeners.
Extend the season another month after February. It'll be a whole thing.
It's going to go till
70
the
points
Masters.
behind.
Yep.
The Masters.
Listeners have 16 home runs to Declan's 15 to my 14. Yeah. All-time, Judd leads with 253 career hits. Listeners up to 35 career home runs. All right, let's get our guest listener in here, Corey, to make some predictions. He had to sit through some family bickering there. Corey, what's going on, man? When did you first become a tortured Minnesota sports fan?
Oh, geez. Let's see. Probably 2012. I want to say back when Harrison got drafted.
Okay. So
I do remember 09 from watching with my dad, just not a whole lot of the season.
Okay. Yeah, there's generations of sports fans here that they didn't even get to sit through like the fun Randy Moss years or the Brett Favre year. It's just been like Christian Ponder and Teddy Bridgewater for 5 minutes. So here's how it's going to work. Corey, you're going to start us off with your first prediction. Then we'll go to Judd, Declan, back over to me. 3 trips around the room. So you lead us off. What's your first prediction?
Write this down.
Sounds good. So after last week, honestly, I'm looking ahead to the playoffs. It was rough. I'm going to say for my first prediction, Vikings will win their wild card matchup by at least 1 possession, that being 9 or more points.
Ooh. Okay. So nine or more points. I think this is a home. So you're saying it's kind of a parlay. They're going to win.
No win. Yep.
Regardless of opponent, and they're going to win by 9 or more points. I think this is a home run if it hits.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because they're not. I don't think they're going to be. If they play the Giants, are they going to be favored? Maybe
Probably by
like
a
one or
point.
2 point favorites or something.
They'll probably get a point, but yeah, and if they win by a possession, that's going to buck the trend of the 2022 Vikings as well. So
yeah,
Write
definitely.
it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Judd.
All right, next Tuesday, the Wild is going to play the Rangers on Broadway. Write this down. Kirill Kaprizov will score at least a goal and have 3 points in that game. Kirill Kaprizov next Tuesday against the Rangers will score at least a goal and have 3 points. Going to Broadway, going against Panarin. A lot of people will be watching. Kirill's going to have a big game.
Okay.
Write this down.
Declan.
All right, I'm gonna get I'm just gonna get this one out because it could happen any minute. Because I saw they expressed interest in one of these esteemed free agents. Write this down. The Twins will sign Michael Wacha. The Twins will sign Michael Wacha.
That dude. That is such a classic. That is the quintessential Twins free agent signing, right?
Yep.
Just go get he'll be on like his 4th team in 4 years. ERA of like 5, but he was really good 6 years ago with the Cardinals.
He'll give a great press conference. We'll be all excited that Michael Wacha has found his stuff again.
I'll tell you this. If you were annoyed by the lack of innings eaten up by Dylan Bundy and Chris Archer last year, let me introduce you to Michael Wacha in 2023.
But he's ideal then, right? We got to pull him. We got to pull him out of here.
We need guys that are willing to give us the ball without any sort of resistance after 3 2/3.
Write this down.
If you're going to complain, Rich Hill, get the hell out of here.
Exactly. Okay, write this down. I'm going to go with this. I feel like the Lions have a 17% chance to make the playoffs. What needs to happen is they have to beat the Packers, and then the Seahawks, I think, have to lose their game to the Rams. So it's very, very unlikely that it's a 17% chance that the Lions make the playoffs. They have to beat the Packers, I think at Lambeau, right?
Yes.
And then the Seahawks have to lose a home game to the Rams. It's going to happen.
Wow.
The Detroit Lions are going to weave their way through the landmines. They will beat the Packers at Lambeau Field. And Baker Mayfield, I'm assuming, is going to start that game for the Rams, is going to dagger the Seahawks in Seattle. And Dan Campbell and company will make it to the playoffs.
And if the Packers win, they're just in, right?
Correct. Winning in.
I believe that is true. Yep.
Winning in for them.
Old Macadac may have a hedge on the Packers side at some point, and write that down too.
Write this down.
He's playing the game. All right, Corey, back to you.
All right. So I know we're looking at the playoffs here, but I seen where Kevin O'Connell said it was asked if he would be benching any starters for this next week's game against the Bears. He said it's going to be a lot more subtle than people think. It might just include snap counts. So for my prediction, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook will start all 4 quarters against the Bears next week.
Oh, interesting. So they're gonna try, is what you're predicting,
right?
Kind of. Maybe they treat it like a third preseason game, or like the old third.
Write this down.
They have to win to get the 2nd seed this next week, right?
They do.
But to lose.
San Fran would have to lose a home game to David Blau and the Cardinals. So, but then again, like, you want to you could put some pressure on them by winning your game. I don't know. I would just prioritize getting healthy. But
the Bears are working very hard not to win, so it's going to be like it could be a battle of sucks Both teams will just try and suck as bad as possible because the Bears have done a great job. I always love the phrase, players and coaches don't quit, they don't tank. No, but management does, and they make you so bad that you have no choice but to tank. So
Yep.
All right. The Twins will sign a free agent to a major league contract or make a trade involving one of their big league players before next week's. Write that down. So they will either sign a guy like Waka, or they will make a trade and they'll trade a guy off the record like Kepler before next week's. Write that down.
So you think the hot stove is heating? They're done from the holidays and the hot stove is heating up again.
I think a move is coming. At some point in time, Kepler has to be dealt.
Dude,
they don't
at this point, they're literally going from offering almost $300 million over a decade to Carlos Correa to doing nothing. Well, Joey Gallo and maybe Michael Waka, right?
And Christian Vasquez. I mean, come on. He's framing up a storm.
Judd, could you repeat the second part of that just so I have this correct on the spreadsheet?
Of course I can. Or make a trade involving one of their big league players before next week's. Write that down.
So they would trade a player on their active roster.
Yeah,
so they would trade a player on their active roster.
Yes, it will not be a slappy from St. Paul.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Write that down.
Back to Declan.
I'm going to be quiet. All right, write this down.
Don't come after me. Don't come after your sports dad. Take it out on your sports brother, Phil, if you're mad.
Okay.
He's the one who's picking on you. I'm trying to maintain decorum in the house.
I want this to get interesting. I want Judd to close a 70-point batting average gap in the next month while Declan protests the new schedule.
Mm-hmm. Write this down. I'll do a wild prediction. I think this is enough for a home run tonight against the Lightning. You guys tell me if it's not. So the Wild will beat the Lightning, and they'll beat them by 2 goals or more, and Minnesota scores at least 5 goals.
Absolute home run.
Yeah, that's not even
questionable.
That's a shot.
Yep. So they'll win
5 goals.
They'll win by 2 or more and 5 goals or more.
Yep.
Especially if
a shootout.
Vassie's in goal.
Write it down. You like writing things down?
Easily a home run, dude.
Write this down. Anthony Edwards embracing his role now as sort of the driver of the offense. D'Angelo Russell mysteriously sitting last game after a team meeting.
Sick.
He was definitely...
Dukes was very skeptical.
So did he say that to you guys on the scoop, actually, or did he just text you that?
No, he said that D'Lo was sick, but it was interesting because guys who have been sick have played through it a little bit, and he basically put together the same pieces of the puzzle you just did.
It just feels like, there's... And Chris Finch is now just openly talking about how I have liberty now, especially after beating the Nuggets with a weird lineup. Like, anything is on the table at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess Anthony Edwards is embracing this Luka role where, hey, we're just going to put the ball in your hands. You're going to be a playmaker. He's getting more rebounds. He's dishing more assists. He's still getting his points. We're going to get an Anthony Edwards triple-double between now and the next. Write that down. They have 3 games. They play Portland tonight, the Clippers on Friday, and then the Rockets on Sunday. He will tally a triple-double in at least one of those games. Write it down. And I think that's a home run because he might have like 1 triple. I don't even know if he has.
It's a home run. It's a home run.
Triple-double is a home run.
Let's make it happen.
Write it down. You like writing things down?
All right, back to Corey, your third and final prediction.
All right, let's end it with a banger. So write this down. During their playoff run, excluding their home game in Glendale, so no Super Bowl, the Vikings defense, and I need some clarification on this. I don't know if special teams would count in on this. They're going to get 4 or more turnovers during their entire playoff run. So I don't know.
I think we put it all in one. It's up to you. I think we put it all in one. Is a blocked punt a turnover? How does that get classified, Judd? I don't think it's a turnover.
I do not know. That's a good question. I would have to look. I would have to look up how that is.
I think it's because they're already changing over possession. You're just altering where you get the possession. So let's just say. So they're going to get 4 or more turnovers in the playoffs.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
That'll work.
Let's do that. And I think that's a home run too, because you're either saying they're going to get 4 in the first game, which would be a home run, or they're going to win a game, get multiple in maybe 2 games. So I think this is a home run. They'd either have to have a crazy first game or play multiple games, in which case it's unlikely. So Corey, great stuff. Nice debut here on Write That Down. Since you've got this life-changing platform, is there anyone you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment?
The only people I can think of is my family. They're the ones that got me into watching football and this miserable life of being a Vikings fan. So,
oh man,
this year, but
bunch of masochists. Corey's family. Great stuff, Corey. Good luck with your predictions, and we'll get you on again sometime. Right?
See you, Corey.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there he is, our guest listener predictor, Corey.
To answer your question, despite the change of possession, a punt is not considered a turnover, so a block punt wouldn't be.
Yeah, because you're already volunteering to turn the ball over.
You're turning the ball over, exactly.
They're just getting better field position.
Okay. I want to clear things up here.
Joe, before we get to your third and final prediction,
yes, sir.
Declan, any underdog slips of note this last week or so? Anyone hitting it?
No one's sending me any slips yet. I mean, yeah, as we get closer to this Bears game, I'm curious if we get any Nick Mullins props. That's what I want to see. Underdog Fantasy, at Underdog Fantasy. Let's give me a Nick Mullins prop here. Maybe a 0.5 on a passing touchdown. I might take the over on that. You can join an Underdog Fantasy with promo code SKOR, SKOR. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Also some mixed sports entries. So Phil just made an Anthony Edwards little triple-double prediction. Why don't you go look at all the props for Anthony Edwards this week in Timberwolves games? There's plenty of options at Underdog Fantasy. Go download the Underdog Fantasy app.
Let's get it. All right, Jeb, what's your third and final?
Write it down. You like writing things down.
And final prediction is going to be very geeky, but it's going to be very Zolgadian, so you won't be surprised about it. Write this down. The U.S. men's hockey team will win the World Junior Championships, which are ongoing right now. And just to clarify, they will play Canada and Sweden will play Czechia in the semifinals today. So this is ongoing. They're already to the semifinals, and they will win the World Junior Championships, which I believe wrap up on the weekend.
Okay. Somebody were they
great
smoking someone the other day, like 5-0?
Germany. They killed Germany.
Okay. I was in a
first
my wife and I were bouncing around, and we wound up at a bar just like having some happy hour. And there was like a table of people just fixated on this blowout. It was like 6-0 or something, and they were just like going crazy. Like, boy,
great tournament.
Jeb would love being at this table.
Great young talent. Great young talent.
Write it down.
Love
you
it.
like writing things down.
All right, Dex.
Final one for me. I'll make a Wolves prediction. Between now and February 4th, the Timberwolves will be a 500 team. They will crawl their way back to 500 between now and February 4th, 1 month from now.
Okay. So their overall record will get back to 500 at some point in the next month is basically what you're saying. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Between now and the next month, they will be a 500 team.
Okay.
And that's going to get you within the new window of Write That Down season.
That's right. It's still in the window until it gets moved to April and then to May and then to June. Yeah. It'll be a whole thing.
It's just, your bitterness is so admirable.
That was going to be a crowning. I thought
gaslighting us right now.
He's gaslighting
us.
I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, he was going to take the crown today.
Nope.
He thought that we were going to coordinate. That we were going to stick the crown on him today. He really did.
Gaslighting.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
Okay. All right. Here's my next prediction. This is going to be a banger. Okay. I have to steal a word from Corey with his third prediction.
It's a baseball card term, I think, too, now.
I'm only swinging for home runs here. It's all I care about. Mike Tomlin has never finished below 500.
Correct.
What, 15-year coaching career, 16-year?
2007.
Never finished below 500. I think at one point the Steelers were 4-8 or something. Mm-hmm. They've won like 6 of their last 7 to get back to 8-8. Mm-hmm. And so they still have a chance. There's like 4 teams fighting for a playoff spot. There's all sorts of things up for grabs. And the Steelers host the Browns this weekend. Now, I don't know exactly what has to happen for them to, like, they have to win and then some other things have to happen. But here's my prediction, okay? Not only will the Steelers win this game, the Steelers will also advance to the divisional round of the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
So Mike Tomlin, that means I think they're going to, I don't know who the 2 seed's going to be, but maybe Buffalo. So there's a lot of things to figure out in the AFC playoffs right now. But I'm telling you, Mike Tomlin is the most prideful dude among all coaches
Wow.
They will finish above 500 by winning their game, and they will win their first-round playoff game against whoever they play.
Right. Are they winning in right now in the AFC?
I don't think they are because
so, right?
they're only
Dolphins.
like 21% to get in, but they're hosting the Browns, and they have a better than 50% chance to win the game, but other things have to happen. So this would be kind of a moonshot because just to get in, they would have to have some luck. I'm saying I'm going beyond that.
With some of that weed out there?
What does everyone think? I don't.
Tobacco?
I've smoked like one thing in my life. People
I
see
know
the comments from people. Just because I live in Washington doesn't mean I'm just like smoking weed all the time.
But this prediction, I was just wondering if you get some of the wacky tobacco. I thought you might have gotten into it a little bit and like, what can I come up with? Hey, dude, check this out.
If I were to get into something, let's just say it would be in a different form, okay, Judd? Hypothetically speaking, but I don't because I am a responsible predictor.
Oh, that's good.
But those are your predictions here. The only show in America that keeps track of our predictions with actual statistics. Forget about those imitators out there. And we do the same thing in football form on Purple Daily. So check us out. We'll see you guys tomorrow for a Reckless Speculation Thursday on Mackie and Judd.